What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here to do my playoffs update. The keeping track of the playoffs, what's going on. We're going to talk about, this past week, the divisional round, just to, kind of see how I did and see how everything shaped up. How I did when it came to my predictions. We're going to take a look at the championship round, which the AFC NFC championship. Obviously, I'll be doing a live stream for the AFC championship. But really quick, just before I get to that, let me give you just a couple updates. Quick updates for the Dolphins coaching search, because some things did happen today. The first one being is that Dan Quinn apparently is now off the table because it would seem as if he is planning to stay with the Cowboys. So he is not expected at this point to go on anywhere else. He will remain the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Also, the Broncos job has been filled, though, with Nathaniel Hackett from the Green Bay Packers. So that is one job that has been now filled and one domino that has fallen. The Dolphins, on the other hand, do not seem to be in much of a rush to fill their head coaching position, so it looks like this is going to play on a little bit further. Obviously, Dabble is still reportedly one of the top candidates, Dan Quinn, like I said, is now off the table, even though it seemed like he was one of the top candidates as well. From some reports that I've heard. But it looks like they're also looking to do further interviews, second interviews with Mike McDaniel, with Kellen Moore. And I've even heard that, Harbaugh is still kind of in the background as some small potential, as small as it may be. But there is some of that Harbaugh talk in the background as well. So just a couple little quick updates there for you on that. So obviously we have to wait and see how that all plays out, but it looks like we're going to probably be waiting at least another handful of days, because it doesn't look like it's going to be decided anytime before championship weekend, and probably not even for a couple days after that. I guess depending on how these second interviews go or whatever. But anyway, having said that, let's go ahead now and jump into this whole little thing here that I got for you. So we're going to take a look. Obviously, as we know, everything through the divisional round is now set in stone because the divisional round was just played, right? And so we have those games have been decided, and so everything through pick 28 is now in the books. So just to recap on how it's looking, Jacksonville is number 1, Detroit at 2, Houston at 3, Jets at 4, Giants at 5, Carolina at 6, Giants from Chicago at 7, Atlanta at 8, Denver at 9, Jets from Seattle at 10 to round out the top 10, Washington at 11, Minnesota at 12, Cleveland 13, Baltimore 14, Philly from Miami at 15. So as we know, we've given Philly the 15th overall pick. They also have the 16th overall pick. Because they get another one, right? One of their other picks from the Colts. And then 17 is the Chargers, 18 is New Orleans. That rounds out all of the teams that did not make it to the playoffs. The wild card round losers, 19 is Philadelphia, 20 is Pittsburgh, 21 New England, 22 Vegas, 23 Arizona, and 24 Dallas. And then the divisional round losers, 25th is Buffalo, 26 Tennessee, 27 Tampa Bay, and 28 Green Bay. Obviously, there were some pretty big shockers and upsets in this past weekend of games, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Now we get down to the remaining spots that are undecided are the last 4, obviously, because the championship games have yet to be played, and obviously the Super Bowl is yet to be played. So Cincinnati currently has the 29th pick. Miami from San Francisco is currently slated at number 30. So unfortunately, our pick is at best could only be 29th at best. At worst at this point, it'd be 32nd, and that would be if the San Francisco 49ers make it to and win the Super Bowl. As it stands, Detroit from the Rams is 31, and KC is 32. So now that that is wrapped up, let's go ahead and take a look at the playoffs themselves. So taking a quick look at this past week, I want to start off by noting that I was incorrect in every single one of my predictions. I did think there was going to be one upset, but I thought it was going to be Buffalo over KC. As we know, that didn't happen. KC was the only home team that won. They were the only higher seed that won, right? Up until the KC games, up until the KC Buffalo game, the rest of the games, all three of the other games, were won by the less experienced quarterback, by the lower seed. Both number one seeds were upset, right? 3 out of 4 home teams were upset. It was pretty crazy. And these 3 games were decided by walk-off field goals. It was a pretty outrageous weekend, but it was a lot of really good football, a lot of really good games. And so for me, honestly, I don't even care that I was wrong in my picks. You know, I'm good on these teams, right? But it was just great games, man. Like, that's what I care about. And that's why, like, I mean, first of all, it's kind of a superficial thing to really care about, you know, being right about your picks. But, like, you know, if they were shitty games, then maybe I guess I would have cared a little more. I don't know. Not really. But, like, you know, the only thing that mattered to me really is that they were good games, right? Like, I was rooting for Tennessee, for example. However, like, I just cared that it was a good game, man. It was a hard-fought game that came down to the wire. And hey, man, Cincinnati pulled it out. So hats off to them. Hats off to Joe Burrow. And congratulations on making it to the championship round. So now that we have discussed that, I mean, and by the way, the KC Buffalo game was just absolutely phenomenal. Real quick, I do want to note, though, that after watching that game, a ton of people, like, across social media and in, you know, the mainstream media and stuff like that were like, see, this is an example of why you have to have an elite quarterback. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to win in this league. First of all, bro, no matter who you have at quarterback, you got to have a well-rounded team, and neither of those guys, whether it be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, would be anything without their offensive lines, their defenses, the weapons they have on offense, etc., right? So, and not to mention their coaching staffs are also really good, and those organizations have pretty damn good organizational infrastructure overall. So that's one thing I want to say. Also, I do think that the overtime rules, especially when it comes to the playoffs, I do think the other team should have at least an opportunity to, you know, answer. Just give them an opportunity. Just give them the ball once. You know, if they tie the game with a touchdown, then it keeps going. If not, then the other team wins, right? Like, I mean, it's that simple. Just at least give them one drive, one opportunity. That's how I feel. It is what it is. Yeah, but anyway, back to the quarterback thing. And then, you know, besides that, bro, first of all, it's super rare to get the elite guy. So it's just not a good get. And why do you think more teams aren't regularly successful and competitive? Because all they care about, a lot of teams care more about finding that elite talent at quarterback than they do actually building their entire team up well-rounded, well-balanced, etc., and have a lot of areas that are really good as opposed to just one specific area on the team that's elite to the detriment of the rest of the team. Like, it's outrageous to me. And I guarantee you that if that was a more overriding philosophy where, you know, the team building the well-rounded kind of philosophy as opposed to just chasing that quarterback, I guarantee you would see more quarterbacks in the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl that aren't the elite guys. The reason why that ends up being the case is because as you go through the season, since teams don't really care about building that well-rounded team, you only end up having, the good teams only end up being the teams that are, and ironically enough, the teams who have the elite quarterback generally tend to be the teams that actually build them, you know, build up the entire team. Like, KC is an example of that. Cincinnati is an example of that. The Rams, the Bucks, right? All of these teams have very well-rounded teams. And even the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's not, elite, I wouldn't say necessary. I think he's a very good quarterback overall, but he's not elite. They have a well-rounded team. So ironically enough, when you look at the playoffs and then the Super Bowl, generally speaking, those are the teams that make it there, not just because they have, top half of the league quarterbacks, but also because they motherfucking actually built the team up around him, right? Anyway, I digress. It's such a silly philosophy to me that, and so like narrow-minded and stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, let me digress. Let me go ahead and move on now to the championship round, because as you can see, we have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. I'm going to start with the NFC because I feel like that one's a little bit easier to call, although with the way that the 49ers have been playing and stuff, you really never know. And of course, the NFL in general is like that, but I'm going to say that the Rams are going to beat the 49ers, and then hopefully the dropping of our first round pick will stop, and we'll pick either 29th or 30th. But anyway, I think that's a pretty safe bet, but again, you never know. Obviously, this past weekend is an example of that. There were 3 pretty big upsets this entire season. There have been a number of upsets, so you just never know. When it comes to Cincinnati and KC, I think this one's a little bit harder to call. Because again, both teams have good defenses. They both have superstar quarterbacks, but those offenses in general have good weapons, right? It's not just the quarterback. I mean, you have Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, for example, and with the Bengals, and both teams, well, the Bengals offensive line definitely needs some help, although they've had some injuries and stuff like that, but they definitely need some help. KC's offensive line is better, but they obviously have Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, right? They have other guys, and then of course, some of those are just like the big name superstars, but don't get it twisted. Like the rest of the guys on those offenses, the weapons are complementary pieces that are pretty solid for both teams. So this one's hard to call, but I'm going to go with the home team, KC. They do have more experience in the playoffs, and their offensive line certainly is better. I don't know. I mean, it's super tough. I mean, Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times last week, and they still managed to fucking win the game, obviously because they got the 3 turnovers, 2 of which were not Tannehill's fault, by the way. But anyway, so, it's a tough game, but I am going to go with KC in that one. I think that's probably what makes the most sense, although I could really see that game going either way, if I'm being honest. So anyway, that is going to wrap up my preview for the championship round, the AFC and NFC championship. Obviously give you the little update there on the draft positioning, as well as, those minor updates to the Dolphins' current head coaching search, the little tidbits there. So I'm going to wrap this up before I get out of here. Make sure you check out the Rave On Sports App, the new fan-driven sports app for all your sports, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, college, whatever you like, they got it, and they're looking to enhance your game day experience with live play-by-play coverage, live chats with other fans and content creators like myself, as well as giving you an arena to dispute all of the terrible officiating. And so make sure you look for the links to that in the description box. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, as well as on Instagram at Dolphins_with_Dillon. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.
Miami wins it.